How insanely powerful is the Italian military? Picture a country that once drew maps with legionary boots and triremes, now projecting power with stealth jets, missile frigates, and a blue water navy that can fly fixed-wing sorties from the heart of the Mediterranean. Italy sits on Europe's underbelly, like a sentry on a balcony. Tyrrhenian to the west, Adriatic to the east, Suez and the Levant within reach. The question isn't whether Italy matters in the Med. It's how much steel, range, and staying power it can bring when the water gets rough. In the last few years, the answer has shifted from respectable to don't ignore this. Politically, Rome pledged to finally hit NATO's 2% of GDP target in 2025. Yes, with some creative recategorization. But the bigger story is NATO's new glide path. 3.5% for core defense and 5% overall defense and security by 2035. That's not just a bookkeeping trick, it's a North Star for planners, shipyards, and ammo lines. Italy's latest budget documents show how they bridge the gap. Regular defense plus reclassified spending to reach the magic number, while the alliance's new goal line tells industry to ramp for the long haul. That combination, meeting today's optics and planning for tomorrow's mass, is why Italian hard power has momentum again. Let's start in the skies, because Italian air power is the tip of the spear. Italy flies and builds the F-35, operating both runway-based F-35A and sea-based F-35B jets, with production centered at Cameri, Europe's unique line that can turn out the Stavel variant. In 2025, the program of record expanded again, setting up one of the largest fifth-gen fleets outside the United States. That stealth blanket is layered over Eurofighter Typhoons, which provide day-to-day QRA and swing roll heft. When NATO needs a steady hand on the Baltic throttle, Italy sends jets. F-35s rotated into Estonia, then Typhoons took the baton, proof that Rome can sustain forward air policing while keeping the Med covered at home. If deterrence is a routine, Italy's flight plan reads like a daily espresso, short, strong, and back for another. Air defense is where Italy has quietly become a European pace-setter. The Franco-Italian SAMP/T family is evolving into SAMP/TNG with the Aster 30B1NT interceptor, tested in 2025 for long-range performance and ballistic missile defense queues. That top layer complements newer short to medium systems being fielded to close the gaps against cruise missiles and drones. The overall picture: a more integrated, multi-tier shield for forces ashore and fleets at sea. In a region where cruise missiles, one-way drones, and hypersonic marketing blur together, that's the difference between playing goalie and being a bystander. At sea, Italy is arguably at peak form. The Navy now fields two big deck flagships, the veteran carrier Cavour and the new LHD Trieste, commissioned in December 2024. Trieste displaces about 38,000 tons, sports a ski jump and a deck built for F-35B ops, and adds serious amphibious muscle for the San Marco Brigade. Put simply, Italy can launch 5th-gen jets from the center of the Mediterranean, carry Marines and helos to a crisis, and command a task group with modern air defense and anti-sub layers. For a country that names warships after poets and patriots, the punch behind the poetry is very real. Beneath those decks sails a well-balanced escort fleet. Frem Bergamini-class frigates for anti-submarine warfare and general-purpose missions, Horizon air defense destroyers to throw an Aster umbrella over the force, and modular PPA patrol frigates that scale from constabulary work to high-end roles. Under the waves, U-212A submarines and their new generation successors, NFS, give Italy stealthy reach in the choke points. Add regular Mare Aperto wargames to keep the machine tuned, and presence operations like Mare Socorro to keep the Med honest, and you get a navy that is both practiced and present, not just pretty at anchor. The army, long the Cinderella service in the public imagination, is rebuilding its heavy core after Ukraine rewrote the European playbook. Italy is modernizing C-1 Ariete tanks and pursuing a new heavy line in parallel, publicly scoped around 132 next-gen tanks, plus extensive support vehicles, with industry pathways that have ranged from Leopard 2 A8IT to a Leonardo-Rheinmetall joint venture. Behind the headlines, the wheeled cavalry is getting a lethal upgrade with the Centauro 2 120mm gun system, while artillery and rockets are where the real transformation is underway. M270 MLRS are being recapped to the A2 standard, and Italy has moved ahead with 21 HIMARS launchers. That means precision GMLRS for the 70+ kilometer fight, and if policy ever demands, deeper strike options in the ATACMS PRSM class. Exactly the toolkit Europe has learned to value. Now, let's do the granular comparison the Mediterranean audience came for. Italy versus its closest peers and potential rivals. Against Turkey, Italy trades a smaller population for higher-end kit at sea and in the air today. Ankara's navy boasts the UAV-capable LHD Anadolu and is pushing TB3 and Kizilelma carrier-borne drones toward operational use, a clever offset given Turkey's exclusion from the F-35 program. But Italy's ability to fly stealth strike and ISR from carriers with F-35B is a qualitative edge in contested littorals right now. In fighters, Turkey will refresh with 40 F-16 Block 70s and a wide Viper upgrade, while its Khan prototype advances toward mid-decade testing. Italy, already fielding stealth at scale, will ride the F-35/Typhoon mix into the 2030s, and then pivot into the GCAP 6th Gen ecosystem, keeping a tech lead as Turkey sprints to close the gap with Khan. The punchline: Turkey owns volume and indigenous momentum. Italy owns 5th Gen at sea and in the air today. Both are dangerous. But in a 2025 fight over the Central Med, Rome's stealth at sea would be the harder nut to crack. Against Greece, the story is a knife-edge rivalry, where interoperability increasingly favours deterrence over drama. Athens has completed delivery of 24 Rafales, locked in 20 F-35As with an option for 20 more, and is taking delivery of FDI Belhara frigates with potent AAW suites, plus upgraded Type 214 submarines, humming quietly below. Italy still outmasses the Hellenic Navy and flies stealth today instead of tomorrow, but Greece is buying crisp, high-end teeth across domains. In any Aegean crisis, Italy's advantage is range, carriers, and industrial sustainment. Greece's advantage is proximity, layered coastal defences, and a concentrated order of battle. The good news for everyone is that both are NATO, and their modernization arcs make collective southern flank deterrence far stronger than it was a decade ago. Peer across to North Africa, and you meet mass and geography. Egypt fields a heavy navy for the region, 2 Mistral-class helicopter carriers, a FREM, modern corvettes, and 4 Type 209 submarines, plus a rapidly growing fleet of Rafale fighters that will total the mid-50s. In a numbers game around Suez, Cairo can put holes on the map. In a quality duel at range, Italy's F-35 carriers, Aster air defense umbrella, and subsurface surveillance stack the odds. Algeria spends big by continental standards and maintains diesel-electric subs and a missile-centric deterrent, but its ability to project far from home is limited. Morocco, nimble and Western integrated, flies upgraded F-16S and sails a FREM alongside Sigma frigates, but sheer naval and aerospace depth still tilts toward Italy. In short, North Africa can field pockets of hard power, Egypt especially, yet the Blue Water, 5th Gen and BMD-capable triad still belongs to Rome. Let's talk risk, because power without friction is a fairy tale. First, the budget. Italy's 2% achievement in 2025 depends in part on reclassification. Parliamentary math and public opinion will test how much real money goes to munitions, spares, and training hours. Polling shows support for higher defence outlays is still thin, and long-term targets, 3.5%/5%, were deliberately designed with flexible ramps. Translation: momentum is real, but political headwinds are too. Second, procurement churn. The heavy armour path, Leopard 2 A8IT, or an Italian-German new MBT via joint venture, has seen twists and leak-driven headlines, the very stuff that delays schedules. Third, ops tempo and maintenance. A navy that leads task groups and flies STOVL jets at sea needs deck coatings, JPLs, and spare parts pipelines that don't hiccup. None of these are showstoppers, but they're the difference between sleek brochures and real-world readiness. Now, the threats you don't film on a flight deck. Cyber and hybrid pressure against Italy is rising. DDoS campaigns, ransomware on municipal services, phishing at critical vendors. The National ACN Agency pushes monthly threat briefings, while the military's Network Operations Command, COR, coordinates defense and offense in the cyber domain. Meanwhile, the Med's new weak point is underwater: subsea cables, energy connectors, and pipelines. NATO is standing up dedicated efforts to protect critical undersea infrastructure, and Italy, gateway to the European grid and data flow, has begun weaving cable security into maritime awareness. If the future fight is a dimmer switch rather than a light switch, Italy is wiring in redundancy and patrols. It's not flashy, but neither are the cables that carry your banking app and the drones that watch them. Link it to the news cycle and you see the steel in motion. In 2025, Italian F-35s and Eurofighters traded air policing duties on NATO's northeastern edge. The Navy wrapped Mare Aperto 25, exercising carrier aviation, amphibious operations, and ASW across the Tyrrhenian, and frigates on Mare Sicuro kept daily watch amid Levantine friction. These aren't parades, they're muscle memory. What you do every month so you're ready on the worst one. Italy manufactures stealth jets next to Piedmont rice paddies. Risotto, Barolo, and 5th generation fighters is a vibe, and naming a destroyer after a poet is the most Italian way to warn you that an Aster missile is about to edit your sentence. The Navy has 2 coffee priorities: keep the espresso machines level in heavy seas, and the flight deck tiles intact under F-35B exhaust. Both are, frankly, national heritage. If you're building a mental graphic for a video, here's how to picture it without a spreadsheet. On screen, lay out a timeline from 2024 to 2035. Drop markers for Trieste commissioning and Cavour's F-35B certification work. Add a bar that shows F-35's A's, B's ramping through late 2020s. Layer in SAMPing fielding and camera integration to thicken the air defense lattice. For the Army, show Ariete upgrades bridging to a new heavy MBT program, Centauro 2 deliveries moving rightward each year, and MLR Shimar's modernization stepping up ammunition stocks. Then bracket the whole thing with NATO's spending arc. 2% now, 3.5/5% by 2035, and let viewers feel the slope. The point isn't individual toys, it's the curve. 2 short battlefield scenarios make all this concrete. First, a Mediterranean standoff. A crisis near Libya spikes, rival warships shadow tankers, drones buzz rigs. Italy sails a task group, Trieste plus Frems and a Horizon destroyer, U-212 skulking ahead. F-35Bs launch ISR and counter-drone patrols. Aster-equipped escorts harden the bubble, and San Marco Marines hold a ready deck for NEO or port security. Overhead, Typhoons reinforce a no-fly message to any adventurer. The scenario doesn't climax in a missile exchange. It ends with tankers moving, a ceasefire, and the task group still on station. That's success. Denial of escalation and control of the tempo. Second, Balkan instability. A flash crisis rattles a border. NATO calls for rapid reassurance. Italy pushes an armoured brigade group east by rail, and RO, backed by MLRS batteries and air defence detachments. Eurofighters deploy forward. Italian F-35AS surge theatre ISR. The message isn't just to the antagonist, it's to jittery civilians. This escalator stops here. If the situation decays, Italy can scale to a brigade plus with NATO enablers. If it stabilizes, Rome rotates forces and replenishes stocks without cracking the fleet. That's the difference between we can arrive and stay. Future Watch. 3 dials worth monitoring. First, industry tempo. Can Fincantieri and Leonardo keep schedules tight while European demand skyrockets? If they do, Italy becomes not just a consumer, but a prime exporter of resilience. Frigates, sensors, missiles, and the GCAP tech spine. If they don't, the lull between old and new platforms widens. Second, munitions. Europe learned the hard way that magazines matter more than museum pieces. Italy's long-range rockets and naval VLS cells need the boring stuff. Serial contracts for GMLRS, Aster, Cavour, and modern torpedoes. Third, the heavy armour decision. Whether the line reads Leopard 2 A8-IT or an LRM-built Ariete successor, the clock is ticking to field a tank that can fight and be sustained in numbers. Get those three right, and the mid-2035's Italian force will look not just modern, but mature. Now, the regional chessboard again, with sharper contours for viewers keeping score at home. Turkey can surge mass and homegrown UAVs, and could become a real factor later this decade. Italy counters with stealth off-carriers now, plus Aster-backed escorts that punish leakers. Greece's Rafales and F-35s will give it a genuine first-night punch by the late 2020s. Italy will still own at-sea stealth and a bigger undersea game. Egypt's advantage is holes and proximity to the Eastern Med. Italy's is the quality of its air defense network, better C2 with NATO, and the ability to integrate Allied air power on day one. Algeria's spend is rising, but its expeditionary reach is narrow. Morocco has sharp kit and Western ties, but across the weight classes, Italy remains the heavyweight. Tie it back to 2025's specific signals. NATO air policing, the relay from Italian F-35s to Italian Typhoons in the Baltic, shows an air force that can rotate stealth and 4th gen seamlessly. The Navy's Mare Aperto 25 showcased the full package: sea control, strike, amphibious movement, and undersea workups. A reminder that exercises build the muscle you flex in a crisis. Mare Securo proved, yet again, that boring daily presence is the one that pays off on the day it's not boring. Meanwhile, the SAMP/TNG/Aster B1NT test underwrote a core promise. Italian air defences aren't just layered, they're getting longer, smarter, and better against ballistic arcs and manoeuvring threats. Add in confirmed HIMARS buys and MLRS recaps, and the Army's fires base is catching up to the demands of high-end deterrence. One more unconventional node deserves an on-screen map: undersea infrastructure. Italy is becoming a hub for power and data links across the Med, from cables to interconnectors. That makes patrol patterns, seabed surveillance, and rapid repair capacity as strategic as any destroyer. NATO's new focus here fits Italy's geography perfectly. Expect to see more OSVs with unusual sensors riding shotgun with frigates near cable routes. If viewers remember nothing else from this section, remember this: in a hybrid fight, the thin glowing line on your phone's screen depends on a very long, very cuttable line on the seabed. So, how insanely powerful is the Italian military, with all the nuance on the table? It's strong enough to make the central Mediterranean a bad place to miscalculate. Strong enough to launch 5th-gen jets from carriers, to wrap task groups in an Aster shield, to stack ASW layers, and to push precision rockets deep inland. Strong enough that allies trust Rome with leadership billets and forward rotations, and rivals now plan around Italian deployments the way they plan around French or British ones. Yet it's also honest enough to show its homework. Budgets that need to turn into magazines, tanks that need delivery dates more than headlines, and a cyber posture that must sprint as fast as the threat. Deterrence in this theatre isn't a speech, it's a silhouette on a horizon, a radar track over Estonia, and a pressure wave from a submarine you never saw. Italy brings all three, and it's adding more. If the last decade was about rediscovering hard power, the next will be about sustaining it. And if you're looking for the moment style and steel truly fused, you'll find it on a flight deck where a tricolor snaps in the wind and a stealth jet spools up for launch. That's Italian power in 2025. Beautiful, yes, but above all, ready.